Hashem's Basai Tivtach Lupi Agitla Sacha. We're now in the fourth Perek of Shoftim. This Perek is going to highlight a new protagonist, and that is a woman. We have one in the Nevios. There were 7 Nevios, 7 prophetess. There were 48 Neviim, but there's only 7 Nevios. And while the Gemara talks about that there were 48 of them, it doesn't clearly delineate who they were. But we do have a clear indication of who were the 7 prophetess. And who are they? Sarah, Miriam, Devorah, Esther, Huldah, Chana, and Abigail. Now, Vayosifu b'nei Yisrael lasot hara b'nei Hashem be'ehod met. So the parak begins as an introduction that the b'nei Yisrael are not doing well, and Ehud dies. Okay, but we had Shamgar ben Anat, so what happened to him? So perhaps he overlapped with the other Nevi'im, so he didn't have, perhaps because we don't know very much about him, or he just wasn't that effective. But in the end, Vayim kareim Hashem biyad Yavin. Hashem sold us to Yavin. Hashem loves us. So he basically took us and didn't know what to do with us. He doesn't want to get rid of us. So he sells us to the Yad Yavin. And it's very interesting. Yavin is to understand. This guy understood. He understands what's happening. You people, you're not understanding. It's kind of like a ironic twist. And of Yavin Melech Knaan, who was the king of Chatzor, and he has an army official who leads the army called Sisra. And Sisra is very strong. And the Bnei Israel, they cry out to Hashem. Why? Ki teishamot rechav barzilhu, because there is an enormous army that is against them. 900 iron chariots, astronomical in those days. And that was number 1. Hu lachas et b'nei Yisrael b'chazka. He was terrible to the b'nei Yisrael for how many years? 20 years. Now, what does it mean? So first of all, he affected them actually physically with these 900 iron chariots that are scaring them physically. Hu lachatz et b'nei Yisrael b'chazka. That's spiritually. He's like having a strong arm on them for 20 years. They're enmeshed in what's happening as really a broken people. And then comes Devorah. Devorah Isha Neviah Eshes Lapidos. She is the wife of Lapidos, torches, and he Shaftar Sa'aretz B'Reisahi, and she's the Shofetes. Wow. Now, who is Lapidos? So some say this was her husband. His name was Barak. Barak is lightning, so Lapidos is torch. Ha ha ha, very cute play on words. Others say that her husband was not someone that was on that same trajectory as her. He wasn't someone as living inspired. He wasn't raising and elevating himself. So she had to light the fire from underneath him to light him up as a torch, which is a very healthy way to raise him up. And perhaps he was the wick maker. She got him a position. She said, listen, you're not really staying in the base midrash very often, so here's what we're going to do. I want you connected to the fire of Torah. So she gave him responsibilities that would allow him to connect, right? Because everybody has their way of connecting to Hashem. So she was so smart that she was able to find a way to have him connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that is something that's very special. And that allows that intuition, that going deeper, that not chachma but bina, to go underneath the surface, to really get to the heart of the situation and judge it effectively, is what creates this allowance of her to be an amazing leader. He yosheves tachas tomer Devorah. So she sits under the tomer of Deborah, the palm of Deborah. What is that significant? Because what do we know about hearts of palm? Hearts of palm is the only tree that you have to get to the heart to really get to it. Other trees allow for there to be a level of heart or, some deliciousness, but the heart, the true heart, is only found in the tomer of Deborah, where in the tomer, because there's one heart, and that's really what she wanted people to aim for. Get into their heart. She sat by the heart to really get to the people. Vaya'alu ala b'nei Yisrael mishpat, and that's where the b'nei Yisrael, they would come to her for the mishpat. Now, perhaps they said there was an issue of yichud because she's a woman, she can't be alone with men, but she really is getting to the heart of the issue. That's her essence. Get to the heart, deal with the heart. And the people, they really believed in her and they helped. And so now she calls to Barak ben Abinoam, who is her husband, and he is of Kadesh in Naphtali. And what's significant is that it's going to be Naphtali and Zevulun that go to help out to do this war. Hashem is going to help them, but you have to take 10,000 men from Naphtali and Zevulun and go out to war against Sisera. Naphtali and Zevulun do exactly what is perhaps idealized by what Deborah does, because they are not the learners of Torah, right? Barak wasn't a natural Talmud Chacham, but they're the supporters and they're the Mevatrin. They negate themselves and they give up their money, not so that they can have the reward of being Zocha to learn Torah, but they supported Torah. Naphtali helped Yaakov, and Zevulun always helps Yisachar. And they're the facilitators. So Barak by himself is not amazing, but he's a facilitator, and he is going to facilitate the success of what's going to happen. And so she tells him, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take 10,000 men, and umashachti alecha al nacha kishon, and Sisera's army is going to go with his chariots towards you in Nachal Kishon, and Hashem is going to deliver him into your hands. Like it's a done deal. You don't really have to worry, but you have to show your support, and you got to do it, and you have to be in charge of the army. And again, he's not the one who is the leader. He's a helper man. Vayomer aleha Barak, im tilchi imi v'halachti. If you go with me, then I'm gonna go. V'im lo tilchi imi lo elech. But if you don't, I can't. I'm not the front man. I'm the back man. And he's having an internal struggle. How often do we have that where it's like, wait, Hashem, unless I know for sure what the derech that I'm supposed to go, or unless I have like real security, I'm not going. Like it's very hard, Hashem. And I think that perhaps he's saying that to Devorah, but perhaps he's also, remember, he doesn't have that fire, that brem, that inner bitachon, clear emotional tying into all this. So maybe he's talking to Hashem and saying, Im tilchimi if halachti, like if I know the sure bet I'm going, but if lo tilchi, but if I'm not sure, lo elech, I'm not going. But Tomer, so the Shofetah says, Halok elech imach, I'll go with you. But just so that you know, there's not going to be glory for what you're not going to get any of the glory. Because what are they going to say? Ki biyad isha yimkar Hashem es Sisera. It was a woman. Now, perhaps it's her, or perhaps it's in reference to what's going to happen that we know the story of what happens with Yael, that Yael, a woman. But she's like, listen, you're the backhand man, and you're always going to be that way. That's your role in our marriage. That's your role in this world. You should just know, like, that's not going to change. But I'll go with you, but take on your responsibility. And she goes with him. She realizes that, you know what, sometimes you just need the continuous support, and that's okay. And so she goes with him to Kadesh. And again, I think that highlights like Kedusha, or perhaps Batelech and Barak Kadesha. Maybe that was her marriage. That's her Kiddushin. That's her connection to Barak. Sometimes, like, I'm telling you, I'm going to steal the thunder from you, but I'll go with you because I think that you could use it and need it if you want me to. And so what happens is Barak actually does that. He goes with Zevulun, Naphtali to Kadesh, and Devorah goes with him, and 10,000 men are with all of them. And now there's a new twist, which is the Yad of Hashem. We start to see that even more so. Chayver Hakeni, this man, he decides he's going to go away from the other Canis, and he's going to go closer to where the battle is in Elon Batzananim, that is in Kadesh, and he goes near Kadesh and Sisera. So that's one piece. then it was told to Sisera that Barak is there in Har Tabor. So what does he do? He gets all his men, his 900 chariots, and all his people, and he starts to, now why he's going to a small little wadi is not a very good move. Perhaps, again, this is the Yad of Hashem, the obvious Yad of Hashem, not a good move for you to squish all of your men into a small little Nachal Kishon, but okay, that was your decision. And Dvorah says, get up. To Barak, get up. Like, okay, again, she's helping him along. This is your day. This is your moment. And don't be nervous because Hashem is giving you the hand. Like, you're just going to be in the right place at the right time. Hello, Hashem yatzal lefanecha. He's in front of you. Have emunah. It's always Hashem, hello, Hashem yatzal lefanecha. That is our level of emunah. That's where she wants him to be. He needs consistent reminders. Get up, do it. You got this. Hashem is always with you. And he goes. And he takes all of his men with him. He's got 10,000 men. And that's what he does. Hashem makes Sisera panic. And Sisera starts to run away. By Yanas Baraglav, he's fleeing on foot. That's certainly not great. And Barak is able to pursue him. And all of Sisera's soldiers fall by the sword. Not one was left. I mean, if this doesn't say miracle, I don't know what does. And ultimately, Sisera, he flees. And where does he go? He goes to that tent, to Yael, who's the wife of Cheber the Keni. Oh, interesting. Because lo and behold, Sisera knew this family. I mean, like what King Yavin, who knows this family. How very, very interesting. And Yael comes to greet him, and he says, come in, let me give you, let me make sure that you're okay. Al tira, don't worry. And she brings him into the ohel, and she covers him, and he says, oh, can I have some water? I'm so thirsty. Hashgeni na ma'at maim, right? Haven't we heard that in Bereshis so many times? Kitsamesi, because I'm so thirsty. What am I really? Tzama lamayim, right? Ki'im lishmoa divrei Hashem, right? I'm thirsty. I don't have what I need. I don't have the Torah. I am says Sisera in many words. And what does she give? She gives him chalav. She gives him milk instead, and she covers him. Now, there are some say that she had relations with him. Whatever the story is, according to just the regular basic pshat, he says to her, okay, just stand by the entrance, and if anybody comes in, don't say that I'm hayesh po ish, v'amar ta'ayin. You say that there's no man here, right? Not very hard for her to do that because clearly she doesn't feel that he is an ish, but okay. And she takes the peg from the tent, and she brings it very slyly into the tent, and she basically sticks it into his head, and he goes down and he dies. Now Barak, at the same time, is chasing after Sisera and comes to Yael, and Yael says, okay, come here. Yael is an animal that is, in Tanakh, that is a very brave animal that's able to hold on and to really do, things that are dangerous. Also, Ma'ala, she is very helpful. Her name represents her essence. And basically, she says, guess what? I've got the man that you're looking for. Again, can Barak do anything completely by himself? No. He has the help of the woman, exactly what the Shofetes had prophesied. This is exactly what was said to him. And on that day, that's it. King Yavin was now neutralized, and the Bnei Israel now are going, the hand Yisrael were harder and harder on Yavin of Knan, and they just completely destroy him. And that's the end of the Perek. Now, what our takeaways are very significant. It is very significant. The story really highlights that when Hashem wants to, the hand of Hashem is so significant. All these things, they're not happenstance. But you also see the process. You see someone who needs so much support, so much consistent reiteration of what's don't worry, Hashem will be with you, just hand holding and bringing up and raising up, that imagery, which is really what Devorah helped the Bnei Israel while she was the Shofetes. The Bnei Israel were able to lift themselves up spiritually. They had reached a higher plane. That's her mahus. We are recognizing that the power of the woman inside of the home, the power of the woman inside of the ohel, in so many different ways, the power of the woman to be that spiritual helper. Now, at the end of the day, Barak, he rose to the occasion. He did what he had to do. But the idea of the Tomer Devorah, the heart, that's where, again, every time we get to the heart, then the Bnei Yisrael are okay. But when they don't, when they're constantly questioning and rationalizing and not having the head and the heart together, then it's not a good situation. And so Yavin, from the Havana, from the headpiece, is he goes down because that's all he was. He didn't have depth to his understanding. But Devorah, the sweetness, that was able to permeate, to really bring out, the Devorah is the bee, it brings out the dvash, and it's able to highlight, from difficulty, we get to the sweetness. That's really how Devorah was the shopetes, how she was the judge, the female prophet. And we will next, in the next Perek, this Perek is the Haftorah for Parshas B'Shalach. And in the next Perek, we're going to have the famous Shiras Devorah.